Hey, Sean, it's been a couple of months, and as you can see, a lot has changed. We've moved. I have a new home studio that is actually dry enough to have my computer in instead of a basement studio and then my desk somewhere else. Now everything's together. I also have my music stuff right here next to me. So it's a wonderful, frictionless, creative space, and I'm really, really excited that I have the opportunity for this. What I wanted to talk about is over the past few months, ever since May when we found out we were going to be able to move, and it's been like 3 years of house hunting and 10 offers on houses. We were shocked to get this one, and we're very happy about it. But once we found out, then we had to pack everything at the old house. Then we had to move and get unpacked a little bit. Then we had to fix a bunch of stuff at the old house before we could sell it after we had moved out, sell that. And then I had this trip to Michigan where I had to drive to northern Michigan, film for like 8 days, and then drive back. So I was gone for like 10 days. And in all of this, ever since May, it's been in my head of like, well, after I get back from Michigan, in the middle of July. After I get back from Michigan, then I'll take care of that. After I get back from Michigan, then we'll start to do that. After I get back from Michigan, after I get back from Michigan. And I'm back from Michigan and I'm excited, but it's not the like, now everything fell into place. It's more like, okay, now it's time to get started on some stuff. And the big thing that I've been reflecting on is after filming, and this is my first time filming in a little while. I didn't film a bunch during the move and stuff, and I'm a little bit rusty, but it came back quickly. But what I noticed was for the second time, really, it happened once last summer, I found myself using my phone. And full disclosure, this is being filmed using my phone. And when I was up there, so it started, and I made a video about this last summer, but I went to Tampa. I was flown to Tampa and I had to record some stuff with fire trucks. And all of the footage that I shot with the Sony, dialed in, whatever, just didn't look as good as the footage I shot with my phone. And I think when you're filming outside and you've got super bright skies and then you've still got details in the shadows, the Sonys can do HDR, but it's kind of a convoluted process to be able to preview your image in a usable way on the fly when everything keeps changing. You can do it, but there's more steps to doing that. And I found that the one rep of this motion we kept doing, the one that I shot with my phone was the one that we used the most. It looks great. I didn't have to think about it. I was able to just focus on the motion. The things that are supposed to be in focus are in focus. I didn't have to pull focus or wait for anything to catch up. I was really impressed with it. And the same thing happened again at this camp where some of the stuff that I'm filming outside looks so much better on the phone, especially in the slow motion stuff compared to what I was able to do with the Sonys. And it's also a smaller, leaner setup. You could throw it around faster. And it brought me back to a couple of philosophical dilemmas. The first, which I discussed before, is like the element of client theater, where even if the phone is the right tool, it's weird to be paid to travel somewhere and then to be like, all right, let me get out my phone and we can film this. Because a lot of people rightfully think like, oh, I could do that. I don't even have the newest iPhone. I have the 14. This one is coming up on 2 years old. And this isn't like this video isn't about the wonders of the iPhone. All the mobile phones can shoot pretty good stuff. And this was inspired by Drex Lee, who I think uses Samsung, where he lets the camera do all the hard work and he can just do cool stories and then edit it together. And it looks pretty solid. And that brings me to the second dilemma. So once I get over like, okay, I do need to get out my phone and film with it because it's the right tool. I don't think I'm ready yet to just travel someplace and get out without having brought a bunch of other gear, but that's for another day. But the philosophical part of filming with a phone is a different approach because for so long I've had so much gear that it's a part of the process. And a lot of times you have to work backwards to think, what is the shot that I want? And what gear do I need? Do I need a gimbal? What lens do I need? If I'm doing this stuff that I do a lot where it's like documentary style, where I'm showing up someplace, I'm trying to film a bunch of what's happening, it's cumbersome to switch lenses and decide like, well, it's going to take me a minute to switch lenses. And if it's something that's happening quickly, I have to just decide and commit like, well, I want this lens. I mean, this one we're going to film wide, or this one we're going to film tight, and I'll try to stay back. There's compromises that you have to make when you're filming with a lot of gear, and to say like, okay, I want a gimbal shot, but that means I'm going to have to keep my focal length the same because if I adjust that, my gimbal's going to be off balance. And there's just a lot that goes into making you less spontaneous and less reactive to use some of that gear. And with the phone, I've been enjoying the process of sort of taking all these equipment obstacles out of the way to where I can say, I want to show that this is there, and I can just sort of point my phone at it. And it's different, but what's changing also is the audience. And I think some of the films that we've made for a long time, you know, you can picture it of like you open with the nice drone shot and then you show some close up with some blurry background of some nature, and like you tell these stories with some of the same shots. Our brains start to just predict that, and it's less engaging, it's less exciting, unless you're approaching it as a filmmaker and looking for the craft and appreciating maybe what went into creating those shots. But as a viewer who's trying to be told a story, some of those things get to be so cliche because we've seen them so many times with all these videos, as all of us creators have bought all the same gear and have robotic sliders and gimbals and all these same things. And some of the more dynamic things that you can get with a more mobile device or even a GoPro, it's a different way. We're now, instead of like, oh, cool, you've got this accessible slider shot that you used to need, a 4-person crew in Hollywood to do. Now you've got it where you can do it yourself with your mirrorless camera. That was novel for a while and it was engaging. And now things are changing to where, well, this is something different where we can move our phones completely differently than we could move a larger camera. And the physics of how stabilization work and how these bigger lenses work, it's all different. And what I found is that there are situations where the phone is better. And what this all sparked in me was Final Cut for iPad, which I'm open to. I'm a Final Cut user, and I'm open to the idea of editing with a touch interface and seeing, does that tool work? Is that I'm fast on my computer, but are there advantages to being able to do it on a tablet? And I'm open to finding out that there are. But one feature that they just enabled was multicam capture within Final Cut Pro, where you can take 4 iPhones or iPads and have them all link up to Final Cut Pro, and you can like record a multicam clip with 4 different cameras, and it all syncs up and is in Final. And here, I'm using Final Cut now. I only have one camera on my phone here, but I was trying to figure out like, when is this actually useful? Because for what I do most of the time, it's a seated interview and then it's filming documentary style stuff that I'm like putting over almost like a sizzle reel. So in the promo for the software, they have somebody climbing, like at a climbing gym, and they've got one camera mounted on the wall and a couple operators and then somebody watching all the angles. And watching all the angles, that alone is handy. But it's limiting to have all those footage sources just be iPhones. Right? I could see potential there, but it's also limited by, well, you can only use an iPhone. And so what would you be filming where you're only using iPhones? And I don't know, but I'm eager to find out if there is something practical like that, because as I try to figure out what do I want to do with the next phase of my career, as I'm in this spot where I've now made it, I'm back from Michigan, and it's time to rethink some things. What do I want my career to look like? What kind of things do I want to be making? What do I want to be paid to make? What do I want my passion projects to be like? And the phones are enticing. And I think if we can find a way to produce stuff where the story's first, and this isn't novel. There's probably some of you watching this and rolling your eyes like, your story wasn't first the whole time. Well, no, the gear gets in them, especially as a person who's often doing production by myself or with a very small crew. A lot of our focus is making sure the gear's set up right, and sometimes you miss things in the background of a shot, or because you don't have somebody who's focused solely as a director of photography on that, you've got people doing multiple roles, things slip through the cracks. So to have something where you can worry less about the gear and focus more on the story is substantial. That is profound. Now, how do we adjust our workflow and our clients to that and to that shift in paradigm? And I'm eager to figure out what that is. If you're a filmmaker, I'm interested to know what guides you. Where do you set your trajectory? Where do you put your foot down and say, no, I'm a traditionalist. I stick to this. While it sounds like I'm all about this modern stuff, I don't see myself filming vertically with anything. That still drives me crazy. I think vertical shots are usually bad shots. I like a good horizontal shot, like our eyes are. So there's things where I dig my heels in, and there's things where I open my arms. What are those for you? Because as I do this, I'm interested to see where am I fitting in and how am I evolving? How am I keeping the craft pure, or however you want to word it? But I'm eager to know what you're doing as well. Thank you so much for watching this. For the people who see this, you're probably subscribers, because I don't know how else you would find this. But it means a lot to me that you would watch this and you would make it this far. I'm grateful for the audience. I'm grateful for the opportunity to collaborate in the comments with you guys. And I've got exciting stuff coming up. Now that it's after Michigan, I've got some gear. Manfrotto sent me a tripod that I was able to test up in Michigan, and I have my thoughts on that. But then also, as I explore these other parts of iPhone production, I'll share my workflow. I'll give you a studio tour. There's some stuff coming up that I'm excited about, and I appreciate that you're along for the ride. That's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. This means a lot to me. Have a great day or night or whatever, wherever. See you later. Bye. I think I did the hand. See, it's been a while. I'm rusty. I did the hand motion differently. What happened? Where am I? Who am I?